Alright, so Pokemon Scarlet and Violet just dropped, and as much fun as I have getting my booty handed to me by the bullies at school, I can't help but recognize that this game just looks like trash. Pokemon is a franchise near and dear to my heart. When I was young, I was a kid in school walking around with a backpack full of animal toys, running around on all fours trying to sniff people's asses like Dr. Doolittle.
Nice to meet you.
I love animals, so naturally when it came to gaming, things like Pokemon, Digimon, Monster Hunter really grabbed my little ADHD ass attention. But not even my love for the franchise can excuse Game Freak's extreme, midness. Look, I know we all have Stockholm Syndrome and want to believe that they're great games, but this is the top-selling media franchise, even bigger than Big Cheese himself, Mickey Mouse. What makes these games look so bad? Well, I think it comes down to three main things: the engine optimization, the quality of their models and textures, and the biggest one for me as a concept artist is the lack of strong visual hooks in the world. On a positive note, I think the one thing the game nails pretty damn well is the Pokemon themselves. The designs are fun, they've added a lot of quality life to the Pokemon by updating their models and added a hint of texture that gives them the quality of modern games. Now, I'm not blaming the developers. Look, I've been working in the games and animation industry for 4 years now, and I've been through bullshit of tight deadlines, low budgets, and a lot of which are pretty much all at the faults of executives and moneymakers. But the final product is all I've got to go on. And now this is the part where we start designing. I thought the perfect way to explain my issues with the open world design of the game is by grabbing a screenshot from right when you walk outside the east gate of Mesagoza. In any other game, this would be a wow moment. Something that makes you go, see that mountain over there? You can climb it. To compare it to another game with a similar art style, we can look at the opening shot of Genshin right after you leave the beach and glide down to your first waypoint. Let me remark that this is a screenshot from the mobile version of Genshin. Game Freak, you have no excuse. What I love about this opening shot is how everything in the environment leads your eye. The arcs around the mountains on the left and the right, pointing towards the castle, the stream tapering from left to right, and the placement of the smaller rocks and trees work together in bringing your eye through the composition of the scene. But in contrast, this shot is so messy. I know that it wants me to go to the light of the Pokemon Center, but these ugly ass mountains have such a repetitive stepping to them, and there's just no room to breathe anywhere. I can barely see where the trail is leading me. So I'm going to start by taking out that larger rock formation in the back and try and create a silhouette with a more bolder and intentional shape. I think one of the things that bothered me a lot about the rock formations in this game was how soft the shadows felt in the larger body of the models. I wanted to look at nature from actual Spanish countryside, and I found that rock formations were actually pretty dang cool looking. It's always a good idea to start your painting with a solid breakup of light and shadow shapes. If your painting doesn't work in a limited value range, it's unlikely to work once you render and soften all those shadows out. Nowadays, I almost exclusively use the lasso tool when I'm starting my paintings, and then I can add detail like these small cracks into the rock as I go on. Even as I continue my painting, I'm constantly using my lasso tool to clean up the edges, refine shapes, and control my work as I figure out the design from larger to smaller forms. At this stage, I can already feel like the scene has been improved by adding this much more interesting rock formation. I don't know about you, but having the arc to this rock really makes me want to take my Miraidon and fly off the point into the open world. Once I'm happy with the overall shape of our moneymaker, I felt the rocky surface could use some points of visual interest. Adding greenery like trees and shrubs not only gives it more texture, but creating points of color contrast that help bring the eye around the piece. Likewise, I'd like to break up the background and midground elements with some more rock formations of different sizes. As a general rule, you'll want your paintings to have a good variety of big, medium, and small shapes, with a ratio of the largest forms taking up a majority of the space, and the smallest taking up a much smaller amount of real estate. I'll be doing a video on the basics of design, especially the grand poobah of design, big, medium, small, on a later date. I wanted to refocus and bring attention back to our original goal, which was to create more breathing room so the player really understands where they might be looking to adventure forth to. With a lot of destructive painting, I opened up a lot more of the space by our focal point and created a repetition of arcs found in the major rock formation to reinforce the visual hooks of the scene. Visual hooks being like the chorus of a song, something the viewer can rely on to be consistent and a reminder of the thematic elements of the design. I think when you're making these echoing forms, it can create a sense of cohesion or consistency. When you're creating a world like this, you want to make sure all the pieces feel like they're fitting together, especially in a natural world that can appear chaotic. This order allows for a sense of balance. The last thing I want to do is spend some time clearing out the middle section where the path leads back into the scene. The original felt messy and difficult to read. Breaking up the orange dirt with patches of grass keeps the space interesting while still allowing me to remove some of the clutter that I felt like was detail for detail's sake rather than intentional design. Other than that, I'll keep reworking the forms and adding more features to the environment to give it life, like patches of grass, shrubbery, on the ground and up on the rock formations. So here's my final design. Flipping back to the original, I think it's looking much more striking. But hey, let me know what y'all thinking in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the video and come back for more videos where I'll be creating worlds, characters, art lessons, and dumb goofs and gaffs. Reese's Pieces, my little peanut butter cups. Bye.